We're live. Good night, Belizeans at home and abroad. My name is Leonard Brackett. We are bringing you another edition of the Belizean Affairs Show, number 14, for Friday, uh, July
21st.
21st, 2023. We'll change the format of tonight's program a little bit. Tonight is a constitutional and legal matters night, Friday, and we'll go right into our reading of Bible
Okay.
text as well as our prayer to start off with, and then from there we'll pick up the rest of the program. Thank you very much. We have Miss Mazie Lopez. Uh, could you introduce yourself?
Should give
And
us the
oh, look at she
should give
gone
us the
again.
word. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, Mr. Wade,
Yes.
introduce yourself, and then let's see if we could get her back by then. No, otherwise,
Yes.
or maybe we could do it over the phone.
Yes. Anyway.
You could go ahead and do it.
Again, Leonard. I want to thank you again for having me. Alongside you tonight again, and bringing to the nation. What's your it's your Constitution hour and other matters, like you said. And glad to be here, my brother, and hopefully that we 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 give said some light, and people take away something good from the show tonight. And on that note, I'm gonna, since we have lost communication with my sister who was gonna give the word, I'll give the word. I'll read from Proverbs 13 to 20. Says, blessed is the one who finds wisdom, and the one who gets understanding, for the gain from her is better than great gain from silver, and her profit better than gold. She is more precious than jewel, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is her right hand, and her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her path are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called blessed. The Lord by wisdom, the Lord by wisdom founded the earth. By understanding, he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the deep broke open, and the clouds dropped down from the dew. My son, do not lose sight of those. Keep sound wisdom and discretion, and they will be life for your soul, an adornment for your neck. Then you will walk on your ways securely, and your foot will not stumble.
Amen.
If you lay down, you will not be afraid. When you lay down, your sleep will be sweet. That's my reading from Proverbs 1 to 25.
She was on and then she disappeared. I thought she was going to do the prayer, but maybe you might have to go ahead, Mr. Wade.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks and glory,
Amen.
for giving we giving us the wisdom and the strength and the knowledge and the not afraid to speak out, not afraid to do what we do. We give you thanks and glory for everything you have done for us, and give you thanks and glory for this day, because tomorrow is promised to no one. So, we give you all the thanks and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for our scripture reading for tonight and our prayer. It was a very inspiring prayer, and I have been asked before, what is it that we do on this particular program? Is it a church? And my reply was, to the cynical person that asked the question, because they were trying to be funny, of course. I mean, if they listen
Yeah.
to the whole program instead of just the first few minutes of the program, they'll definitely realize it's not church. Well, at least not the kind of church that they're talking about. It's a kind of church, of course, because
Yeah. Yeah.
even Jesus flogged the merchants out of the temple, you know. So
Yeah.
it could be another kind of church too, right? But we do flagging in this church. What we deal with. We deal with the
Exactly.
issues of the Belizean society and our governance issues. And like you said earlier, Mr.
Exactly.
Wade, we tell it like it is, and we are not afraid to speak up
Speak up.
and say the truth. Even when some people will want to say, well, by telling the truth, we're libeling them, and therefore not realizing that there's no such thing as libel when it comes to the truth. You can't go
Yeah.
to court or sue nobody because of the truth and they claim that you've been
Yeah.
liable. What you should be claiming is that you're being exposed and you're aggrieved for being exposed. Because when you are committing a crime and you're being exposed for the crime that you commit, the least you should do is bury your head in the sand so that you don't have to hear people complain about the behavior rather than you trying to suppress their freedom of speech and their ability to use their constitutional right to speak truth to power if need be. So
Exactly.
when it comes to the Belizean Affairs show, we are no respecter of person and we don't hold nothing back. And we know they ask nobody for no favor, and we know they hope to get no favor for nobody, and therefore we know the hold the tongue because we owe nobody any favor. Anything that has to do with the well-being of we country, we are there, fully committed. On that point,
Exactly.
I want to kick off tonight uh, constitutional hour by reading. I need to move this thing over a little bit. Please bear with me. I need to move this computer over a little bit so I could get some space here
Mhm.
to put down this thing so I could
Yes,
read
like you
properly.
say, we hold no allegiance to no one,
Yes, sir.
but only to the Almighty.
Amen. Okay, now I got the space. Now I could roll. Um, as I said in introducing the program for tonight, the program or the name of the program is Belizean Affairs. The intent of this show is to try and provide educational material or complaints to our government by us and or by anybody else who would like to be on the program. The program is set up so that we can discuss matters and issues that ails us and our country. And we have quite a few issues going on all at the same time that ails different people at different times. On tonight's constitutional hour, which is like I said on Friday nights, I want to start off by reading uh, a dissertation. I call it a dissertation because it goes on and on and on, and some people might say it's laborious. Well, it was laborious and labor intensive for me to put it together as well, but I hope it will serve some public good. So there I go.
Amen.
Belize Constitution Reform Commission is the title. The Belize PM is hiding behind this Constitution Reform Commission, which apparently they have also given another new name, People's Constitution Committee. Uh,
Wow.
I guess they got flagged too much and too much records being referred to as the Belize Constitution Reform Commission. So now it's the
Yeah.
People's Constitution Committee, it's PCC.
Oh, it's a committee now. It's a
Yeah.
constitution committee. Okay.
Uh,
Wow.
Apparently, the intention of the committee is just to serve the purpose as they initially wanted. Anyhow, as I was telling people in the
Yeah.
beginning, before it got established, I was talking about it, and when it got established,
Mhm.
I mentioned to a few of the people on that particular commission that they're there to serve a specific objective that will be brought to their attention later on, and the outcome of their effort will not be what it should have actually be, which was to be like a preamble to our constitution, to any new constitution that they were trying to do. Because they started this idea that they were only going to look at our present constitution to see if there's anything that we need to change or that we need to do in order to try and make it better. Now, I don't know how many Belizeans doesn't realize that the government is empowered to make laws to manage the country and to alter the constitution in certain areas when need be by legislative empowerment. But these knuckleheads would come and tell us that, oh, they have to put a constitution committee or a constitution reform commission together in order to get done what they are already empowered to do. Who fool are they talking to? Do they really don't realize that we Belizeans are a little bit smarter than that, at least after 40 years of independence? And still think we're living at the boony days then, when nobody know nothing and could care about nothing and spend no time investigating or learning about nothing? Then use the people to create this committee to try get done what they couldn't do with all the powers in the legislature. That is that even if they had 100% of the legislature voting to change certain part of the constitution, it still would be ruled unconstitutional because those parts are not supposed to be altered or bothered with. And they're hell bent on wanting to have those parts altered. So they will hide behind the frack of the committee. I call it a frack because they're not a real total suit. They just want to frack to cover up the bottom part of the body. They're actually attempting to commit what is, for all intents and purposes, will be classified as sedition. They want to get rid of all the vestiges of the colonial masters or any kind of association that has to do with the colonial powers that kept the country safe for us to inherit now as independent Belize. Not only now are we in charge of the country, but now their level of gratitude for having kept us away from the hands of the Guatemalans for all these years is being paid back now by maligning anything that has to do with British, including the barrister or the lawyer, and just get the other day, they get in the interpretation or the ruling or the guidance or the input or the legal advice, which they snub. And that's the very same gentleman that we have at the ICJ looking after our country's affairs in terms of determining how big or how small the country will end up being after this debacle is completed. So I went on to say, take heed, Belize lack talents, intelligence, aggregation, and deciphering analysis. The lacking of talent is what our Prime Minister threw in our face the last time, right? When he said, Belize not got no talent. I have yet to hear him explain what he really meant there. Because when the wife explained it, the wife said he didn't mean what he said. But here's the person who uttered those words owes the Belizean people, both at home and abroad, by the way, an apology and a further clarity or explanation of what his intent was in making such a unnecessary statement. Because it was unnecessary. Nobody was beating him over the head and forcing him to say what he ended up saying. They never do. But you have a penchant for lying and telling stuff that doesn't square and that people find out after the fact wasn't the way he intended it to be. So I said, item number one, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, understands contextually the meaning and implication of the term or word sedition as imbued or used or outlined in the Constitution of Belize? It's a question. But for all of those who have been paying attention keenly recently, we would recognize and realize that the answer is already given by the Prime Minister, as I indicated earlier. I'll read number one again just for emphasis, okay? Because I don't want to be going over these things or these items or this information and just ramble through it and finish it up and be gone. I'm hoping that something will residue with our people to understand the context of what is it that I'm saying here and how it applies to our daily lives and to our patrimony, Belize. Number one again, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, understand contextually the meaning and implication of the term or word sedition as imbued or used or outlined in the Constitution of Belize? Number two, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, realizes or knows that neither he or any other official Belizeans are above the laws, Constitution of Belize, and that he could be exposed to charges of sedition for seditious intents and activities? Number three, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, abhors or disagrees with the Constitution of Belize as it currently is and would like to arbitrarily and capriciously make changes, which is apparently his wet dream? Item number four, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, understands, realizes that the Constitution of Belize, as a living, self-preserving document, provides guardrails, protocols, procedures, processes, and practices for lawful legal constitutional amendments and alterations thereof? Number five, Does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, really accepts the limitations on his power as Prime Minister of Belize, whilst not being Belize's head of state, from whom he acquired accent of power to govern Belize, which is what happened when he won the election with the majority and he went to the Governor General to get the ascension of power of governance, because then at that point the Governor General delegates to that Prime Minister and his cabinet, who are the subordinates of the Governor General, the authority and the power of executive ship. Number 6, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, wishes Belize to dispense with all remaining British colonial vestiges that currently overshadows Belize's conditional independence, as his predecessors, former prime ministers did? Those are all questions that need to be fleshed out. Number 7, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, truly know and understand what is the British High Commission and its purpose and functions in Belize, as compared to a British embassy in other countries? Number 8, does the Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, understands and realizes that he cannot be found to be attempting to suborn the Governor General of Belize, who serves at the pleasure of Belize's head of state, and whose appointment is subject to recall by that head of state? To clarify further and to expound on those previous 8 questions, I said, note well, NB. The following commentary was made by Leonard Brackett as an overview to questions from Mr. Gregory Brackett on statutory instruments versus the Constitution of Belize Act and intended amendments or alterations thereof, referring to the Constitution of Belize. I title the article, "The Constitution of Belize Bastardization or Challenging Pandora's Box." And I went on to say thereafter, Belize at 40th year of independence, Prime Minister Mr. John Briceño with dream is a constitutional revamping. Prime Minister of Belize, Honorable Mr. John Briceño, appears to be getting power drunk, announcing a constitutional reform commission at the time when I was writing this article, and subsequently, as we now know, empaneling it to reform the Constitution of Belize into a more pliable document so as to aggregate the government of Belize some additional powers that are currently vested in the Belizean head of state and the people of Belize, and constitutionally protected. I then went on to say as well, it's a harbinger of what is to come. That is, riddance of existing constraints on the government from the Constitution of Belize, as we currently know them to be, to a possible dictatorship or ministerial fiat governance before the current term is completed. So now we can see the sense of urgency why Back when I wrote this article a while back, we can now, with time having passed, get the sense of why is it that this process is being pushed so vehemently, even without the required or requisite activities that needs to go along with any such effort. But we'll deal with that a little later. Let me continue reading. Both major parties, mass parties, being the UDP and the PUP, as government of Belize, have indulged in bastardization of the Constitution of Belize in various ways for different reasons and objectives. And at
So true
different
on that.
times, yes, sir, and at different times, whilst attempting to govern by dictatorial fiat, by, by overreaching and aggregating to themselves and exercising punitive powers with impunity at that. After Belize's independence date of 20th of September 1981, they have been doing this same craziness. I also said, note, for example, item number 1, under Chapter 10 of the Referendum Act as follows, subsection 2, notwithstanding, subsection 1, a referendum shall, not could or would or may, but shall. I'll read that part over again because for emphasis, the public needs to know these things, understand these things, and take these things seriously because it is your right, your powers, and your purview. It is not the powers or purview of the cabinet, of the prime minister, of the legislator, or anybody else, or any other entity. These things that I'm talking about here are within the purview of the plebiscite and people of Belize only, which is why if any government wanted to or would like to in the future derogate or take away any of these rights and powers that are vested in the people, they got to come to you with a what? Referendum, right? We all remember that one word? Remember what they did to us the last time they pulled our referendum? And remember how many times Oceana and other people wanted to have a referendum and they tried to skedaddle out of it? Okay, that will come back again, so bear with me. Item number 1 again for clarity. Under Chapter 10 of the Referendum Act as follows, subsection 2, notwithstanding, subsection 1, a referendum shall, as I said earlier, be held on the following issues. A, any amendment to Part 2 of the Constitution which derogates or takes away from the fundamental human and civil rights and freedoms guaranteed therein to the citizenry of Belize, Belizeans at home as well as those abroad. Clearly understood by most legal trained minds in Belize, being a command when the term shall is used within the context of the Constitution. It's a command, it's a directive, it's a mandated or mandamus requirement as a bar or a threshold to be overcome by constitutionally mandated public consultation and consensus acquiescence by means of a required referendum of the plebiscite. I'm using a lot of big words, because if I don't use those words, please bear with me. I will have to go a lot more lengthier in the explanation of what is it that I'm trying to say. So sometimes I use a couple big words here and there in order not to say 2 or 3 more paragraphs of reading. It's a strategy. And in so doing, sometimes I lose some people, or sometimes people, in trying to interpret the meaning of the words or trying to grasp what the words mean, they tend then maybe to lose the essence of the whole presentation. And I hope that's not the case. But I recognize that that could be the case in some instances, because we're not all at the same station in life. We don't all come with the same level of education, and we don't all pay attention to these things the way some people that deals with these esoteric things pay attention and flesh them out. So just bear with me. I'm not being overbearing. No, I might try to just use words, like I say, to grandstand or to show how eloquent I am. I'm using it with a purpose. There's a reason to my madness. So please bear with me. Uh, Item number 2, such as SI number 74 of 2021, which was a POP SI under the POP Minister, Mr. Chavat. Statutory instruments number 74, I went on to say, SI number 74, is not under declared emergency powers. At that time, there was no declared emergency. There was a declared emergency under the previous UDP administration that didn't get renewed. And as a result, then there was no existing emergency. An emergency, a declared emergency, has to be sanctioned by the Governor General. A minister cannot just arbitrarily and capriciously say, okay, well, he's going to write an SI and stipulate that he has an emergency, and just by the virtue of that SI being written and signed by him, that becomes the new law of the land. It doesn't work like that. Which is most of the time why when they write SIs, it goes for 30 days, because they don't expect to be sued adequately in court and have those SIs overturned in 30 days' time. So it's a shell game, it's a shenanigan in most instances. That's when they want to abuse their powers without the people having proper redress. And as I said, tonight is constitutional night, so we're dealing with constitutional matters, and I'm trying to point out some of these things to the general public, especially Belizeans at home and abroad, because we need to understand these things so that these people stop chance with. We could jump down their throat and tell them where part to go, to hide their head, if and when they come to try to pull the wool over our face by understanding these things.
It's happening right in front of our eyes.
Right in front of our eyes, my brother. They keep doing it because they don't expect us to rebuff them about it, or they don't think that we know better.
So this should be very much educational. It should be for the public. They need to consume this. They need to take it in. It's happening.
I wish they would spend the time to do so. Like I said, we don't expect everybody to become lawyers overnight by virtue of listening to this presentation. That's not the intent. The intent is to give you the basic information that empowers you as a citizenry, as an informed citizenry, so that you cannot be taken and bamboozled and taken for fools and being used, misused, and abused and mistreated. Because when the government officials are making laws that are not constitutional, but they're hiding behind the powers of lawmaking, they themselves are then committing a crime under the color of law. They don't make the law to catch them in the things that they do wrong that we ask them to make the laws for, but they create additional shell game laws that are not constitutional and use that over the head of the public to power play the people, when in fact they could be making properly constituted laws that are constitutional. But they don't care because they don't think we know any better. So there were some people that were asking, how are they supposed to learn what the Constitution is saying? And why don't the Constitution Reform Commission educate the people on the Constitution so that people could know when the time comes to vote, what they are voting on, and whether they are right or wrong, or whether they are informed enough? Nobody's making that effort. But we've been making that effort here for months now. And we'll continue making that effort. Because at the end of the day, we're hoping that somehow or another, they will start teach basic law in our high school then. And at Belize University, they will start teach maybe at least one associate degree in some legal matters that has to do with the basic structure of the constitution and the laws of the country. We're not saying that we expect everybody to become a lawyer or no need to a lawyer anymore after they don't listen to this kind of presentation, because even a lawyer doesn't do his own legal presentation in court. He go and get another lawyer to go with a court. Because only a fool goes to court without a lawyer to defend him, including lawyers, as I'm saying. That's just the way how the game is played. There are procedures and principles and practices that unless you know how to follow it, no care how good your case, you can lose your case just by virtue of not filing the right paper on time. You know, let me not get into all of that. Let me stay with what I'm having here, because this is going to go on for a little bit longer, and I don't want to bore the public, okay? But I'm just making these additional statements on the side so that to caution the public to please be with us, stay with us, give us your valuable time, and you'll be well rewarded for so doing, because you'll be in a better position to know what your rights are, how to handle your rights, and at least be a bit more comfortable in your knowledge and your self-assurance, your fortitude. Nobody's paying for these lectures or these discussions or these legal and constitutional stuff. We are the one doing the payment, right? We pay for the broadcast, we pay for education, we pay for everything, and we're trying to provide it for free for you, the general public, because we know it is deficient. We know it has not been provided before, and if somebody not provided, it's not likely that you won't get it. So all we are asking you to do, not take full word for it. Listen to what we tell you. Go back and double check for yourself. And if you have money, some people do have money, hire one lawyer to give you one second advice or to give you clarification and to see whether or not what we're saying to you or educating you about has any merits. But there are a lot of people who don't have the money to go hire no lawyer. So we take it upon ourselves to provide this kind of information to the general public, especially as regards to the constitutional matters. Because we know and we have seen that our government does not respect our constitution, much less our rights. And they use our constitution against us to violate our rights.
So true.
Just because we dare to trust them with the governance power. Let me leave that alone because that's becoming a little bit more. Let me flesh out the part that I was on here. Let me go back to it. Please bear with me, and sorry for the segues, the going off on a different tangent.
No, it's educational. It's educational, Leonard. So
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, let me. I went back to item number 2. I had started it, and I want to preface back again what I was intending to try and say. Under Mr. Chabat, the PUP Minister of Health at the time, there was a statutory instrument that he wrote, which was statutory instrument number 74 of 2021. Statutory instrument number 74 is not under declared emergency powers. And it was broad, overreaching, punitive at that, infringements, derogation of rights, contrary to constitutional prescriptions, constitutionally suspect, trumping the Constitution of Belize, which should not happen because no statutory instrument can trump the Constitution. I think we've been through that before when we discussed the Constitution and statutory instruments in the past. The Constitution, as is stipulated in the first part of the Constitution of the country, is the supreme law of the land. And any other law, when it says any other law, it means any other law that the Congress makes, right? Or that the ministers then put in place, or any other protocols or any other procedures or government practices or whatever, any of those things that contravenes the Constitution, to the extent of that contravention, is considered to be null and void, which is why even some of the laws that the legislature makes are struck down by the courts and are constituted as being null and void and should not be used by the legislator and or the government to oppress, suppress, and you know hurt the population. Because when they do that, they're basically behaving as rogue government and behaving and acting as scofflaws. That has happened too many times in our country.
Yeah.
So we were saying that SI, or statutory instrument number 74 under Mr. Chevat leadership, was trumping. The SI was attempting to trump the Constitution, which is a no-no, and it was unhinged, expanded power grab, likely, arbitrary, and capriciously drafted without due diligence and care. I went on to say under item number 3, which is a different item and a different SI number 126 of 2020, under the UDP government, Minister of Health, the Marine, statutory instrument number 126, SI 126 being one of the same, was under declared emergency powers, but it was also broad, overreaching, punitive, infringement, derogatory, derogation of rights, contrary to constitutional prescriptions, and constitutionally suspect, as an SI attempting to trump the Constitution. It was unhinged, expanded, power grab, and likely arbitrary and capriciously drafted without due diligence or care. I went on to clarify that particular law, a section of it was so punitive. Sorry, a section of it was so punitive in its violation, it created a fine of $5,000 for a violation of that particular SI, which for the same infraction previously was 200 Belize dollars. So it went from 200 Belize dollars to 5,000. That on its face was overreaching, and it was punitive and violative of our Constitution. The government should not be in the business of violating the constitutional right of its people, much less in that form or manner. I went on to say, who can afford such fines with a 50 times or 50% poverty index status in Belize? How can someone be found guilty of committing a crime and under that particular crime, the penalty for that guilty person would have been a fine or imprisonment, or in some instances both. But the fine could have been $200, and this particular SI was categorized as having the power and the authority on its face to impugn and be punitive enough to any citizen who violated that particular SI, which was attempting to trump the Constitution, by the way, again, as I'm saying, by going from $200 to $5,000. How much time can you get 200 out of 5,000? 50 times, right? See how crazy that law was? But the legislator is empowered to make laws. But the legislator didn't make that law. The minister, under his portfolio and edicts, stipulated that SI as a law under the powers that he's supposed to be entrusted with, which was, as I said, an overreach, an abuse. I won't go into additional words on that. I just want to continue stipulating here. As regards to some SIs, like we said, most of them are made for 30 days. And when that 30 days is up, it's considered a stale dated SI or old SI, unless they go and have it assented by the Governor General for another 30 days or 60 days or whatever period of time. But they cannot be doing that over and over and over and over, because the SIs does not have the longevity of life in order to be able to trump people's constitutional right. So whenever your rights are going to be derogated under any emergency declaration, it is done for a short period of time, depending on the type of emergency and how long the emergency lasts. Has any of you been to a lawyer who explained that to you? Or any of what I'm saying here tonight to you? You don't have to go and pay no lawyer to get that information. I'm giving it to you for free. Just visit the program, listen to the program, school yourself, how to educate yourself. You don't have to go to a law school, right? But the more you know, the more empowered you are, the stronger your sense of assurance is and your fortitude. Please, my countrymen and Belizeans. A lot of people like say, well, they don't like take things for free. This is something we should take for free, because most of you don't have the money to pay for that kind of information. So just take it for free. It is true that everything that is free sometimes have a price later on, right? The only price we want for you is for you to become a little smarter than you was yesterday or the day before. Is that too much to ask of you? Let me continue on here for a second, please.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I said stale dated, which means old or expired statutory instruments. Some of them are still in the Constitution right now. No? You know what some of them people do? They take some of them SIs and they put it in the Constitution and modify the Constitution with the SIs under the presumption that they then become a part of this Constitution. Okay?
Yeah.
After those SIs have become stale dated, they cease to exist in terms of law and the power of law, and they should be extricated from our legal system, not put into the Constitution to inflate or conflate, or to be able to derogate or use afterwards to say, okay, because it's in the Constitution, it trumps another part of the Constitution that tells them that they're not supposed to tamper with your rights. But that's the kind of shenanigan and shell game these people play and have been playing from before Independence Day till today. and they have been getting away with it a lot. Who
So
won't
true on
brace
that.
them? Who won't stop them? You, the people, have the power to stop them. Only if you know what is it that you're dealing with. First, you got to get the knowledge. Please take it for free. You won't cost you later on because you have to put your body on the line. You have to use the knowledge. The knowledge is going to force you to respond to your own survival, self-preservation. And when the
True.
time comes that you have to think these things through and act on them, you'll be informed enough, I hope. And that's all is required of you as a committed, law-abiding citizen. Know your laws. Put out the necessary effort or as much as you could. Stale-dated statutory instruments, SIs, should cease to carry their original legal force or validity and should not be enforced open-endedly, but should be discontinued, taken off the books, or legally renewed, or reauthorized, or refreshed. If they don't, if they, the politician I'm talking about here now, the people that governs our country, if they don't like the Constitution of Belize as it is, then they should change it by following the constitutionally prescribed required processes and procedures and protocols and practices for legally changing and amending the Constitution. Belizean politicians, as the legislator, are not empowered unto themselves, even if they had the affirming vote of all 31 members in the House of Representatives to create an SI nullifying or replacing. I'm sorry. There's a part here that I'm not. I gotta bring it closer. Make it out because the lighting isn't giving me the correct. Oops. Trying to get away. Uh, okay. I'm almost finished with it. Okay. Create SIs. Okay. Let me go back one step earlier because I don't want to let people miss. I paused for too long and I don't want people to miss out what I was saying. Belizean politicians, such as the legislator, are not empowered. Remember, they are not empowered unto themselves, even if the affirmative votes of all 31 members in the Belize House of Representatives to create SIs nullifying or replacing the assented acts that uh, rely on for legal effect, uh, vested as an assented legal powers. Basically, what I was trying to intimate there is that even if you have all the members of the legislature voting in favor of a particular SI, if that SI is a violation of the Constitution, the part of that SI that violates the Constitution is considered to be null and void. The fact that all 31 of them get together and decide to make that law doesn't trump the Constitution. They are supposed to make laws within the bounds of the Constitution, not outside of the bounds of the Constitution. So let's say they want to become arbitrary and capricious and one day decide, you know what? We want to abolish the court system, right? We want to write to a law instead that the court can't rule for nothing that we decide on. Once you write a law, the court can interpret that differently and they can't do nothing with it. So for all intents and purposes, some dictator countries and some foreign countries do, then overthrow the constitution, or then go and create a new one. Anybody, does that sound like something that we are trying to do in Belize? Why? Because they feel like they are believe or they are believing in the new one and have more faith in the new one, and the new one and do for them what the old one no me they do for them. All the old one they do for them, they're telling you have the powers to make all the changes you want to govern the country, other than to tamper with certain part. And because they want tamper with a certain part, they want to change the whole damn thing. How preposterous. But then I don't want to tell the people, that that's what they want to do or what they want to change. They give the people the impression that it has to be the people that decide what laws are going to make. When in fact, when they go to the assembly every time when they go make the laws, they don't consult with the people. They go there and they write up the thing and they pass the law, which they're empowered to do, so long as the law when they make does not violate the Constitution. They have all the
Yep.
powers. Why are they going to go backwards now and ask one committee to tell them what laws they should make? So they could throw out the whole Constitution and come up with a new Constitution. Then they try to hide behind the committee. And when the committee work is finished and the committee give the prime minister and the prime minister takes it to cabinet and then discuss it, their cabinet will have its say and probably part of its way before they present it to the house for a vote. And when it goes to the house for a vote, different committees inside the house might argue about certain things that they want to amend or change or modify. And they will have their way, their say, as well as their way. And once it comes
Yep.
out of there, it may not be the same way it went in. In other words, it may not be the same thing that the committee submitted. That's politics. That's the way the system is set up. And then who gonna be aggrieved then? The committee gonna say, okay, well, we waste all the time, created this thing, and now the man in the hall and pull it, and then they decide what they want to do. They could have gone ahead and do that from the very beginning. Anyhow, they never need the committee, but they're trying to hide behind the committee to get to the point where they want to tell the head of state where we go jump. That's all is going on. But they need the committee to take that part of the blame for them. They don't want for their head up on the gallows for sedition. But anyhow, make us stop messing around and talk. Well, you shouldn't be saying it's actually facts, but let me continue with this reading. This reading is a little bit laborious, like I told you guys earlier when I started, no? I went too fast. Please bear with me. I went too fast and I pushed the yeah. Okay, so I'm back. Okay. Okay. So I said even if the herald or the one members of the host agreeing on a particular statutory instruments or change that they want to make, as long as that change is inconsistent with the Constitution, is considered null and void to the extent of its inconsistency. To create an aside nullifying or replacing the assented acts they rely on for legal effect and vested as assented legal powers. They have legal vested powers right now to make laws. So therefore they should be making laws and should not be contravening the very constitution that they swore allegiance to. Rather than exercising a sleight of hand, pretending to amend the acts that composes the Constitution of Belize, whilst at the same time persisting to unconstitutionally aggregate and illegally exercising powers as an illegal power grab by sleight of hand and temporary statutory instruments with the apparent intent to mislead, bamboozle the general public into believing that such exercise should have the effect of altering or amending the Constitution of Belize by ministerial edict or political or a political wet dream, for example. In other words, all of what I was intimating there is that they are empowered to make laws, but those laws have to be made within the constitutional prescripts. They cannot go outside of the bounds of the constitutional prescript, and they cannot violate in making those laws any part of Section 1 or Section 2, as under the Barrow government they had done before. Because being then, it would be a preposterous, unconstitutional proposition at best, if not an outright contemptible farce and breach or abrogation of sworn oath to uphold and abide by the Constitution, instead of grabbing uh, or appropriating unto themselves some reserved powers vested in the people. Remember what was the essence of this section of the Constitution that we were calling, that I was trying to read to you earlier, right? And that is that there are some powers that are still and vested in the people that the politician should not tamper with unless they can get the people to cede those powers to them. That is why we have a referendum act, and it is under that act that they should abide when they want to derogate people's rights. They cannot be claimed to be making laws, as in the case when they went in the House and they made those laws to stop Belizean Americans from participating in the Belizean politics and or for running for office or any other kind of things that they wanted to do, including stopping them from being able to register to be a voter in any of the referendum that went before or that is to come yet.
Sure
All
did.
those things were a big shenanigan and a big travesty. They violated people's constitutional rights. And because people never take them to court to get their redress, they just went ahead and got away with violating people's rights, like in the case of you, Mr.
It's
Rudy
true.
Wade.
So true on that.
They power played you. Nobody at that time ever walk up to you and say, well, you know what, Mr. Wade, we are poor player, but you have a means of redress. You could go to the court under Section 20 and have a judicial review. Like what Mr. Ashcroft now with him money, when a court to go get one judicial review of the EIA that the present government gave to Portugal, while they had
Yep.
denied him one. And they made it easier for Portugal to get one with less qualifications and less completion of requirements than what they were asking of Mr. Ashcroft, which is why he is now in a position to sue and recover damages. Not having lost
And
no
who's
money,
gonna pay?
or,
And
we
who's
want
gonna pay?
as usual. Them man they know from the get go who want pay for which treasury. And we then come and squeeze to get money for putting at the treasury to pay them bills. Just like when they squeeze out the 78 million the other day to pay the part of what they want. You never hear one
76.
yeah, 76, yeah, you never hear one peep out of them. You never hear about then they spend money to go give me such stuff because they can't and therefore as a result of that they can't find money to give to the poor people or for the poverty alleviation programs. They owe Mr. Ashcroft money. So when they come in a government with the intent to settle their accounts with him. And the way he settled for their account, then settle for their accounts with him is by make this man haul and pull for his system and bleed for his treasury. Now you sue them again and you win. I tell you that right now. I told you before that you were sue them. But now I tell you that you win. So when the man win, No say, you never know or never hear somebody telling you that. Or the person who telling you that, me crazy. Right? Because if we go back and listen to all that we showed in the past, everything that I've predicted or said, we are living it out in our daily lives. I don't
Exactly.
work more than just no issues that I don't have the basis and validity to effectively, conscientiously speak those issues. So I tell you again, the money where you think you give your government for the high price of gas, look out for some raise in our price of gas because the government have to come up with extra money where we don't have no way. We don't have on Fort Knox, like I said the last time. We don't got no money, it's down in a central bank. But somehow or another, we don't have to come up with that money to pay Mr. Ashcroft after he get through with it. Why the hell are we wasting time and getting into the bed with that man all the time and they come up short and they have to find money out of we government and out of we budget to get that man? He always they get ahead of we and they get money out of we. Free money. Free money. And you always get more than what you're supposed to get. Even when we owe the man some money, for let's say when we get back PTL for now, when we settle with them and pay us some money, you get back more water with than where we get. In fact, he turned around and tell the one smart head prime minister that, oh, you going to America, going to make the agreement with me. When they talk about American dollars, not Belizean dollars. So you get twice as much of that. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't laugh, you know, cry.
Man,
That's how
yeah,
crazy this situation is.
man.
Right?
I tell you,
And we are walking right up into another situation like that. But this time, they're not just with one company or one issue. Multiple lawsuits are coming down the road to hit us.
and who was his attorney? Okay, we don't. I mean,
His attorney
it's so sure.
is a multi-millionaire out of the Belize coffers, okay, because he got handsomely paid for working for the man. He got his part of the pie. And now you're going to tell us crap that the Senate investigation that is supposed to go on should not focus on Yerisa and other things that are out there in the that people are
Yeah,
aware of. He just want to stick to certain questions, find certain people, ask certain questions, stick with that, and no like get too serious with no serious investigation. Play a role and just move on. The audacity of this idiot. I call him an idiot because you have to be a damn idiot. As smart as the man is, he's as far as I'm concerned, he's one of our premier lawyer in the country. Probably the best lawyer the country have, for all I know, as a strategist.
how do these people get away with these
I
things,
don't
Leonard?
understand.
How do they
Everybody
do
else,
it?
well, they don't got no conscience, man, or they don't got no heart. Go ahead, Mr. Ed. I got a little more to get.
I mean, no, go ahead, Leonard.
No,
Go
no,
ahead,
no.
because
I need the interaction. I need the interaction, please.
it's how can these people, do these things to the country they live in, right? Is it that they the coffer is so fat, right? That they just don't care about the rest, right? And they just continue to do and continue to do. And not to mention they are not elected. They are not,
That's the worst part.
you know, that's
That's the
you
worst
know,
part.
that's so like they show that they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn. And they look on the common man like you're a piece of crap, right? And you're so duncy and stupid, right? This is the thing I cannot understand. How they do this to their Belizean. Well, I all along I know he's a Belizean, born Belizean,
Mr.
right?
Weird. Mr. Weird.
But
Could I steal a second for you to interject something? I hope I'm not be too long and make you last with your thoughts, okay?
no, go
Mr.
ahead, Leonard,
Price,
go ahead.
Mr. Price, on the point that you mentioned about the them be around in the community, right? Mr. Price used to drive in a vehicle, get out a vehicle, and go meet and hail people and talk to people on the streets. You see any of these guys do that nowadays? The man are so rich and so powerful. They drive past people. They're not of the same making. Maybe they should have gone the divinity school and learn something about being a Christian or about being a father or something like. They should have gone through the same process Mr. Price gone through. So then maybe they may have a better heart. But then guys, no, they just grab. Sorry, I take away your time. So I hope you didn't last your time. But I just add that to what you mean.
No.
You know?
Yes, man. You know, that brings to mind, Leonard, the word you said, dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
Dictators. They're all dictators. You watch them. Watch them, how humble they are before you give them that power.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing, man. Huh? And then when they get that power, they don't work for you no more. They don't work for the taxpayers no more. That's the thing that eats me up. You gotta go and beg them. Beg, literally beg to do what they're supposed to do for you. They know what they're supposed to do for you, but you have to go and beg them. Right? And 90% when you go and beg them, 90% of the time when the poor people go and beg them, they get crap. Get nothing. A lady went and asked the mayor to help her for, she was badly in need. You know what the mayor did? He asked the person that was standing next to him to give the lady something because he didn't have nothing. And that guy gave that lady $10. Huh? And then, I tell you.
Mr. Wade, the appropriate thing for the mayor to have done at that time was to have that lady come to his office and make one of the people in the finance department produce one voucher for the lady because they have special funds set aside. All the mayors have always had it. Only that someone used to steal it or misappropriate it. But there's funds that the mayor can give to indigent people in our society who come to him asking for help. Sorry, I know
You said it.
Step on your toe.
No, you said it, Leonard. The right thing for him to have done. But that was what happened in his office. I have to say this because, man, that's why I see how they come to you before you give them that power, Leonard, right? And it's a repetitious cycle, right? Repetitious. Both People's United Party and the United Democratic Party when they are in power. See? So back to the word, Leonard, dictators, right? When they get there, they are the man and the woman in that seat. So you are no longer counted and you are no longer important because you already gave them that power to let them do that to you. And you went back for George Price days, right? We all went back to George Price days, right? Well, yet that's the man that they want to put on our dollar. So when they open a dollar, still the same. Because everybody had liked the policies of George Price. Some like it and some hated it. That's why we have so many migrants that left. We had so many people left this country because of his policies. They didn't like it. What the hell is wrong with these people? Huh? They
So
think
as
that
long
whole of Belize love what George Price had done. That's what they're trying to implement there. Whole of Belize. No, you are wrong. I didn't like some of the policies he had made. So, talking about me, right? I didn't like some of the things he had done. But no, you're going to remind me now by putting his face every time I spend a Belize dollar. That's your intention, Mr. People's United Party. But anyway, Leonard, this is your constitution hour. And
that's all
like
right.
you
That's all right.
you
Um.
said, right?
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
we're running on 15 minutes more to go, and this thing is kind of long, like I told you guys from the very beginning. And I want to just cover as much as I can out of it because I think it's very, very important. Maybe we might have to go back over it another time and reread it again. But for right now, I
Always
just want to,
another day.
yes, sir. For right now, I just want to deal with this little part because tonight, when we have one section of the program, the last part of it was supposed to have turned out on the same point or topic that you brought up just now about the money on the money change
His face on the
we were
dollar.
discussing. Yes, sir. But we might have to just put that off maybe until Monday or some other more germane day, no?
Okay.
I think Greg wanted was to chip in on that too, and he's not
Okay.
available tonight. So let me
Okay.
just go ahead with this and see if I could close this out. And then we'll take maybe another 5 minutes after that and close off, give a closing, right? I'll get a comment from you on what I
Exactly.
finish. I'm gonna finish read, and then get a comment, and then I will let you have a
We'll
few more
close.
minutes to
We'll close
close,
up.
and I'll do a little close too, because we're running out of time. Okay, so let me go back to this article here again. Under item number 4, small a, paragraph A, I said, any amendments to part 2 of the Constitution which derogates or take away from the fundamental human and civil rights and freedoms guaranteed therein to the citizens of Belize and Belizeans at home and abroad will have a status of null and void. In order to derogate civil rights that are not appropriately acquired or duly vested, constitutionally imbued, or forbidden of the legislator to arbitrarily and capriciously derogate, and which are being passed off as legitimate amendments or alterations to the Constitution of Belize, which are then incorporated subsequently into the revisions of the Constitution of Belize, thereby then constituting a grave travesty of the highest magnitude, and therein ultravirus the Constitution of Belize negatively, as I think I mentioned a little earlier. When they take these old, still dated essays and they incorporate them into the revised Constitution, they commit a travesty because those old, still dated essays that may have had validity for 30 months or for whatever period of time they were assented to, and maybe extended later on and assented to again, they're supposed to cease to exist after the period of time for which they were implemented. Uh, okay, I got a message there just now from Greg, and he's asked me to read a message. Facebook user, okay. Okay, so I see it. I'm gonna, if I put it up, it's kind of long, right? Let me see if I can put it up, but it looks kind of long, so I don't know if it, yeah, it's very long and it's very small, so I won't be able to make that out. I'll read it and then I'll put it up. Let me take away from my presentation just now. Give me a second, please. Okay, I'll stop what I was doing. I'll try and see if I can incorporate this input that Craig was trying to provide us here. Uh-oh. No, it's okay. Oops. Okay, I'll try and read it off my screen. Uh, Now, it's not identified as Greg, but I got a message from him saying that there was something that he had sent in. No? So I presume this might be it. I'm not too sure that anybody would have written along something like this, other than maybe him for right now in the middle of the program. So let me give him the benefit of the doubt and stipulate that it might be Greg Brackett, our next panelist, who is not with us tonight, and I'll read what is being said here. The government of Belize is using a variety of conspiracy theories and falsehood to justify their beliefs and their activities in trying to turn Belize into a republic, some of which are illegal and unconstitutional, trying to turn the people into sovereign citizens, making them believe they are not under the jurisdiction of the head of state and consider themselves exempt from Belize law. The Constitution, which is believed, which GOB took a sworn oath to uphold. Very much true.
That's true.
Very, very much true.
So
Uh,
thank you, my brother.
I'll just reread it again because maybe some people I may not have put the correct emphasis or they may not have gotten the whole thing. No? So I'll just reread it for emphasis. I know I want to finish what I had, but I want to give this contribution here another reading. The government of Belize is using a variety of conspiracy theories and falsehood to justify their beliefs and their activities in trying to turn Belize into a republic, some of which referring to the activities, the falsehoods, and whatever else not, some of which are illegal and unconstitutional, trying to turn the people into sovereign citizens, making them believe they are not under the jurisdiction of the head of state and consider themselves exempt from Belize law, the Constitution which GOB took a sworn oath to uphold. Exactly as I said in the beginning of my presentation, where I said that they go to this Governor General who assent to them the powers of governance
Very well said.
as his or her subordinate, because the head of state actually is the executive authority of the country, is vested in the head of state. And it is only by means of the election process, which is another part of um, the election, the people's election act.
Election and boundaries.
All of that comes under the election and boundaries. The head of the election and boundaries, most people don't realize that it actually comes under the purview of the Governor General as well. Okay? So, for all intents and purposes, whoever wins the general election goes to the Governor General for a center of power to be able to govern, without which they cannot govern. And they only get that assent after they swore allegiance to the state, to the head of state, right? And the Constitution of Belize. When they come and want to turn around now and violate the Constitution and get rid of the Constitution and recreate a whole new Constitution and disband the the, uh, um, the doctrine of separation of powers, as well as the doctrine of the I forgot. I'm drawing blank, so I'm letting it search for word and waste the time. The bottom line is that our government, both under the PUP and UDP, from since Independence Day till today, have consistently been violating our constitution and violating their oaths of allegiance. And now they're trying to get us to a point where they can become the head of state so that they're not accountable to any foreign head of state. And they fail to understand the reason why we made the choice to have a foreign head of state so that we can continue to protect and preserve our patrimony. When they become our head of state, if they are finally successful in so doing, which one of them going to put their body on the line to provide us the defense guarantee that we will need? Any country that exists has to have some means of protecting themselves, especially a country like ours that has a neighbor that is aggressive and trying to aggress it and is claiming our territory. How the hell can these guys have any good conscience to try and put us in a defenseless situation just with their own pride because they want to have their name go down as the first president or as or first head of state? To what benefit is for us Belizean to become one republic? They don't explain what is it that they're after when they say they want to become a republic. But by judge, if we ever become a republic, for the circumstance that we have in terms of our size, our economy, or military, or population, the fact that we have a neighbor who, whether the ICJ says that they're supposed to leave us alone and stop aggressing us, will never cease and desist their aggression because they have the Sarstoon right now and they will not give it back on a no, even if they have to declare themselves as not being in agreement with the ICJ and don't want to subscribe to the ICJ anymore, which they have the right to do. They are also in possession of our territory back in Cayo there, where they are building houses on the east side of the border. And for them, they get authority to do that. And for them, government, they back them up with that. And there's nothing we can do about it. And for the government, they go along and they pretend like nothing is happening and just hunky-dory. We should be taking these matters to the United Nations and complain on a regular basis so that when they decide to make the invasion, at least the world know that it wasn't a fluke. Or at least the world will know that whenever we provoke them. Because we want local leaders then to try to set you up for that end result. Guatemala could come up with any kind of pretext anytime you want and say, we are now our own head of state. We now elect our own head of state. There's no way that the British or the Commonwealth or anybody else have to be involved with us or deal with us or guarantee us anything or support us. And they can walk in and invade us. And who will kick them out? Or who will stop them from even walking in the first place? I don't think Uncle Sam will do that. Cuba can't do that. Jamaica can't do that. Canada won't do that because if they get involved, then they have a bigger problem with the United States, which is a bigger and more powerful and important client of theirs or supporter of theirs. So by the time we figure out how the hell we gonna get reprieve from whatever problems we get involved with in Belize, it will be a done deal. Don't tell the public that we don't have enough bullets for a day for fight. That's how stupid they are. Because whether that was the case or not, that should not be known to our mortal enemies. But our time is running out. So I need to give you your time. I think I'll have to leave the rest of that stuff alone. I just can't deal with it. It's not fair. We already agreed that we was going to 1:30 and we're there. Take the next few minutes for your closing, Mr. Wade. That's my closing. This was reading the thing that Greg sent was my closing for tonight. Go ahead, Mr. Wade.
Well, again, another wonderful presentation of, the Constitution Hour, right? And I hope that, you know, our people take something out of it and get educated, on the issues. I'll say this quick in terms of the Constitution. This government and past government had prostitute our Constitution left, right, and center. They continue to do it. And as for me, I don't see the reason why they want to subject the taxpayers in terms of want to do all that in the name of reforming and educating the people of their rights, right? When they are the one that are violating the rights of the Belizean people left, right, and center, right? So how stupid are we, right? How stupid are we, right? So if they want to make a big issue, why not pass some laws on that then? They have the super majority, right? Why still lying to the Belizean people? Why not they don't have the balls and the guts to come to the Belizean people and tell them what they really want to do, right? Why are they so afraid, right? To tell the people the truth, right? Instead of lying, constant lying to the Belizean people, right? They want to educate the people on their constitutional rights. What's wrong with these people when they are the violators, right? But anyway, that's my personal view, right? Maybe some of our Belizean people may like the violation that's been taken, that they've been done to them, but I don't like it. They need to stop it, right? They say that most Belizeans stupid. Well, I'm not stupid. I'm not a stupid Belizean, right? And I have the right to say how I feel, right? No other way around that, right? So, Mr. Briceño and your super majority, man, stop the foolishness, right? There are other important things that the people need to get done in this country, right? Than trying to turn this country into a republic, right? And you're not doing a good job in presenting what you want to do. You're not doing a good job. It's all about lies. So, as for me, I'm tired of that, right? So, I just hope and pray that the Belizean people are really seeing through this whole shenanigans, right? And breaks them, right? When that time comes. I don't know what other shenanigans they're going to come with when that time to vote. But I'm pretty sure they're cooking up something for people like me that is opposing that cannot cast my vote. They're cooking up something. They did it before. The UDP did it to get a yes to the ICJ. They're going to do it too, right? And they disenfranchise people like me, right, who speaks out. So, on that note, we are past time, but I just hope that the people, I get so passionate, when advantage and injustice is being done to our people, right? It's high noon that they stop that stupidness. People are playing into it. People are catching on what you are doing. And I want to always thank Leonard and Gregory, too. Like you always say, Leonard, I told you so, right? Whatever we say on the past shows over the years, and we continue to talk truth. And 98% of the things we talk about are coming to light right in front of our eyes, right? So I say this, He who have ears, let them hear. He who have eyes, let them see. Please open your eyes, my Belizean people. And I'll close off. I call on independent thinkers again. I've been calling on independent thinkers. This is the time, rescue your country from these dictators, because they are nothing in my book. They are nothing but dictators. They are not honorable to me, right? So I that word honorable is not in my vocab to call them, because they are not. And on that note, I want to thank our viewers, both at home and abroad. And again, I want to thank you, Leonard, and Gregory, who did not make it tonight, but we're looking forward for him to be on Monday. He has some technical difficulties, but he will, see through. And I want to say
Yeah.
good night. May God bless Belize.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wade, for such a exciting and exhilarating, humble, and passionate contribution tonight.
Of
I
users,
want
one of our say, Mr.
to,
Leonard Brackett. Thank you for your excellent presentation. Well done, sir. Thank
thank
you.
you very much. Thanks to our viewers,
Somebody,
and we've been getting quite a bit of followers or people who check out our stuff after the fact. Hundreds of people. We don't see as many on our live broadcast because it's just starting and it's growing. But after the show and a day or two after, when I look at the tabs, it shows that we've been getting literally hundreds of hits in some instances. So
it's
I would
not.
say
It's
it's only
only
to get
about
better.
love. It's
It's only
only
to get
about
better.
love, Leonard. It's only about love, Leonard, and
So
and
I,
education,
I have,
love, education, and love of country and love of people.
in closing off, this is a 14th edition of the Belizean Affairs show. This one is Friday, 21st of July, 2023. And I have, before I close off, one request to make. I don't know if people are getting the hang of my madness, but part of it is very obvious. And I'll keep manifesting it as of tonight in making a request to our Prime Minister of the country, in whom the powers are vested for executive purposes to manage our country on our behalf, and on his behalf, or his colleagues' behalf, or his family's behalf, or his friends' behalf. On behalf of all of those I enumerated just now, as well as the rest of us, the country belongs to all of us. So I want to implore our Prime Minister, because he's the Prime Minister of all of us, despite some who didn't vote for him. He might think he's the Prime Minister of the people who vote for him, but I keep on wanting to remind him that he's the Prime Minister of the country. And despite his shortcomings, failures, or sometimes, well, let me not go back there. I want to stay with the point because I need to close off. I need to make a request of him. I had made this request before, and I'm just going to insist in making it again to refresh it, because it's going to make a difference in terms of how that political issue is going to get resolved, and whether it's going to end up becoming to the benefits and well-being of the country, or it's just going to become another quagmire that's going to cost our country money that we don't have, and we'll have to fight to figure out how to get it in order to pay for the bills when they come due. Mr. Prime Minister, my request is, as I said before, if you persist and insist in wanting to bring about or breathe some life back into that dead baby of yours, sir, the least you can do or is expected to do is, under the Freedom of Information Act, which you're compelled to honor, bring the Belizean people in on whatever is it that you're discussing or planning to put over our head. Because when you put that Damocles sword over our head, because we entrust you with your governance. Then you alone will live with the consequence. No, I don't think that you alone will benefit. We want to live with the consequence. And it ought to work out to our benefit. It shouldn't be against us. There should be nothing wrong to have development in the country, to have investors, whether foreign or local, put their money on the line and reap some rewards. But we cannot do that to the exclusive outcome of the country being more impoverished, while the rich people then work off with the whole economic pie. That is intolerable and cannot continue. I ask you, sir, think seriously about the well-being of your party, even if you don't have no consideration for your own self and your personal pride, dignity, or whatever is left of you. Give the younger people in your party one chance to resurrect back the party from the ashes that you have been converting it into by just doing the decent and honorable thing. And, by the way, legal thing. Because the fact that you have the power doesn't mean that you're legally empowered to abuse us or to abuse our powers that we have invested. But for God's sake, like you old Nemesis Mr. Barrow would say, stop it. That's the end of my presentation for tonight. God bless Belize and God bless Belizeans at home and abroad. And I wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Can I hang on a little bit, Mr. Wade?